See what's behind me right there? That is the 2020 Polaris RZR XP 1000 Trails and Rock Edition. This is a special edition UTV, and they've been producing it for a couple of years, and we're going to do a little overview today. Basically just go over the specifications. I'm excited to actually take it out on the trails for the first time tomorrow, and inevitably what we will end up doing at some point is having a little comparison to that guy over there. So that's the Can-Am Maverick XRC. That will inevitably happen. So we'll do this video, a nice walk around overview, kind of tell you a few things. We'll do a separate video, which I'll put a link here eventually when it's finished, that will be kind of documenting our ride day. And then finally, we'll do a comparison video where we talk about the specs, talk about you know, how they compare, horsepower numbers, suspension numbers, and basically an overview. And I'll tell you what I think my preference is. Right now I can't do that because I've literally pulled it off the trailer, moved in and out of our shop, and that's pretty much it. You will be able to see a full review as well on this machine behind us here, the Polaris RZR XP 1000 Trails and Rock Edition in UTV Rider magazine as well. So we'll have that in our digital e-zine that you'll be able to download for free. So we do that for free for everybody. And we'll have a little bit of video up there as well too, so be sure you check that out as well. So let's talk about what we have here. So I'm going to basically walk around and talk about a few things here. So this is powered by Polaris's twin cylinder. It's a twin, pretty much the same power plant that is in all their next generation, their new generation RZRs. In this particular tune, it is 110 horsepower. All right, so 110 horsepower is absolutely plenty for any of the trail riding that we're going to do around here on the East Coast for sure. I'm shooting by myself again today, so I'm going to switch back and forth, but 110 horses is a lot. My initial impression just moving in and out of the garage and getting in and out of it is this machine's going to be a little bit more plush, I think, as well too. That's my prediction. I honestly haven't ridden it yet, driven it, so we'll let you know what we come up with, and our perception is. Width is huge to the UTV crowd. So this machine is 64 inches wide. 64 inches wide, and it has a 14.5 inch wheel ground clearance. Sorry. So at 64 inches wide, that's perfect. That's a sweet spot for me. I love that width because it's wide enough to give you stability, but it is narrow enough that you're not bouncing off of the trees. We're on the East Coast, we're in Pennsylvania. We ride a lot at Anthracite Outdoor Adventure Area, and if you have a 64 inch wide machine, you can pretty much go wherever you want there. So the absolute perfect width, in my opinion. One of the first things I noticed about this when I picked it up is, look at the wheelbase. It has just an incredibly long wheelbase, and it's 120 inches from front to back, and the wheelbase is 90 inches. So this is definitely, I can tell without even measuring. I'm not exactly sure what the Maverick RC is. This is definitely longer, and the machine is actually longer as well too. So longer length, and definitely a longer overall wheelbase also. It chalks in at 74.25 inches high. So that is minus the roof. This is an add-on roof. Right in this general vicinity right there is going to be your high point. With the roof, that probably adds, I don't know, what, about 2-3 inches or so to the top of it. But I wouldn't have it any other way. I would put a roof on any machine that I had. It does not come with one, so that's sort of a check against it, but there's plenty available. So up front here we have Walker and Evans shocks. They have 16 position adjustability, so there is an adjuster. There's a clicker up on the top here that you can do the compression adjustment. It doesn't have a rebound adjustment. If it had rebound, it would be down in here, and there definitely is no rebound adjustment on this one, but it does have the compression adjustment, and these are 2-inch shocks on the front. So 16 clicker, 2-inch shocks on the front, and it has a full 16 inches of wheel travel. So that's a lot. Definitely a lot of wheel movement. On the back, it has the 2.5-inch Walker Evans. So you can see It has the compression adjuster up on the top here to make it harder or softer depending on what you're trying to do. This does not have rebound adjustment on this particular shock. I believe there are, on the front, it's 16 inches of travel. On the rear, there's actually 18 inches of travel on this one. So 16 adjustment clicks, so whether you want to go softer or harder, they're definitely have a pretty good turn to actually get the adjuster to fall into the detent. And these are, again, a little bit larger of a shock in diameter, and they certainly do that so that they can store a lot of oil to keep these shocks cool, because this suspension is definitely going to be moving around and articulating and moving around. These wheels are probably the coolest wheels that I've ever seen on any Polaris or maybe any UTV, although I do love the wheels on the Maverick X3 RC, the 72-inch wide one. Those wheels are amazing too, but these wheels are awesome, and they're a true beadlock wheel. Those are 30-inch Pro Armor Crawler XGs, so looking forward to them. One of the things you'll notice, it's a 30 by 10 by 14-inch tire. They look really narrow on there, right? So they should clean out really well. I'm guessing they're going to do very well in the mud, and I'm looking forward to trying them out tomorrow. We're supposed to get hammered with some storms this evening, so it'll definitely be warm or rocky and muddy for sure, warm on the trails for sure. But I'm looking forward to not only hitting the rocks and crawling with this, but to see how well these clean as well in the muddy conditions out there. Let me take a step back here. The color's awesome. You can have it in any color you want, just so long as it's this black and this sort of khaki army tan. I love it. It's like a desert tan color, and I think it's just absolutely perfect, and it perfectly complements these wheels as well too. As we start to move around the car, they use this metal. This is, I don't know if that's aluminum or if it's steel. It feels like steel. Rock rail along here, and then underneath they've got plastic skid plates. Let's see if I can spin it down here. So they're plastic skid plated from the front to the rear. So I'm a huge fan of the plastic skid plates. They tend to be a lot slicker than aluminum, and so you're going over something with aluminum. The aluminum has a tendency to have a lot of friction and grab, and it doesn't allow you to slide over that obstacle. Whereas the plastic, modern plastics are really, really durable, and they also give you that added benefit of being able to slide over an obstacle as opposed to getting caught on it and tearing chunks apart as you go over it. All right, so a couple other things is a trailing arm rear suspension. As you can see here, it's pretty much standard Polaris right there. On the back, one of the things that I like though, it has the high radius arm, so these rear trailing arm, or the locating rods actually, are really high swept, and it so when you're going over rocks and such, that's not going to be hanging down in here and essentially getting caught up. And these things, they are very, very beefy on the bottom. The top's not quite as much, but the bottoms definitely are. Here's something interesting. Notice there's a bung there for an oxygen sensor. I never noticed that before. Maybe it is on their other machines, but definitely Polaris and the other manufacturers are trying to be smart about things, trying to make sure that they're keeping their emissions where they need to be, and not drawing any attention. And like, it's the day and age that we live in. So the fact that they can make these vehicles emissions compliant and still have the performance that they have is incredible. So kudos to them and the other manufacturers doing that. I'm going to move up top here. So you do have a nice storage compartment here, and they do make lock and ride, I think it's what it's called, that plug in, and you get different bags and such that allow you to store things so they're not, your materials aren't bouncing out of here as you're ripping down the trails. I do like this. Really nice, easy access to the air cleaner. Get to your plugs right here. And back in the day, there's your oil fill as well too. Back in the day, they didn't think about that when they were designing things. It was just like it was a lot of work to actually get to anything to service it. And especially when you're rock crawling, if you're here in the East Coast, it's not too bad. We don't get the dust that bad. Out in the West Coast, if you're in California or Utah or, you know, Arizona or Nevada, those places are really, really dusty. And the ability to just be able to pop that off, pull this off, and, you know, either clean out your air cleaner if you're sucking in a lot of dust, or you know, have another one with you is super, super important. This has suicide doors on it, so there's no external handle on the outside, as you can see. On the inside, same with the other side. There's a little detent that you push here, and that opens it up and allows nice egress and ingress, you know, get in and out of the thing nice and easily. One of the things that you'll notice, check out the harnesses. So it's a 4-point harness. They do mount back here. The idea of having race harnesses sounds awesome, right? I couldn't wait until the first UTV that I built and I put 5-point harnesses in it. I thought, man, this is awesome. No, it's not. If you're going riding, it's great if you're racing. If you're going riding with your buddies, you're on a trail ride, trying to get in and out of those things is absolutely miserable. And Polaris, clearly for competition, I wouldn't necessarily use these for competition, but if you're going to be rock crawling, I prefer the double harness over my shoulders. You know, you're going to be rock crawling. Sometimes you overrun your talent, you run out of talent, and you end up on your lid when you're rock crawling. And I like the ability of having both of my shoulders tucked in there in case I've been upside down. If you've ever been upside down in one, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And I have been, unfortunately. But the neat thing about these is they pull in and out. So getting into this, I wish I had somebody here that could help me, but to get in and out of these, it's really easy to get in and out of them. And then down here they have a buckle. So buckle up right here. Can't do it and hold the camera. And then they buckle right here as well too. So it's a really nice setup, and it's fast. And you feel, you have the leg cinches down here too, one on either side, and you can adjust this as well too. And it feels way more secure. I'm a big fan of these, and I would run these in all of my Polarises. Here's one thing that I noticed. One of the first things I noticed though, Polaris doesn't change the roll cage. So you have this thing here. Normally there's a seatbelt bracket here. The first thing I thought about is me whacking my head off of this. Now I always wear a helmet, but I still would rather, if this is going to be a different machine and a purpose-built machine, I'd rather see them take that bung off there and not have it at all. So inside the car, pretty standard tilt gauge or tilt wheel. The gauges are pretty basic, but you know, sufficient, for sure sufficient. So you have your speedometer and your tachometer here, and you can play around with the different modes and change the odometer and all that stuff. I typically don't mess with any of that, but pretty minimalistic. You do have the winch in and out switch right here, 2-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive. Sorry, on-demand true all-wheel drive is what Polaris calls it, and then off, low, and high beams. And they do have a 12-volt outlet here. Some decent storage, and a little bit of decent storage there. Here's something that's interesting. I don't know if you guys can see inside of there. Is my camera going to focus or not? There we go. Inside of here. But that is a port to plug a remote winch cable. I don't have that. I don't know if that's something that comes with it. They didn't send one with this one, and I'm not sure if that's something that comes with it or something you add along. That's good if you're upside down and you don't want to be inside of the machine as you're winching it. You know, that would be the reasoning. Nice little storage space up here as well too. But pretty simple. The shifter, this is neat. This is a gated shifter. I wish there's aftermarket companies that are doing this. There's not a lot of OEMs that are doing this now, but this is worth mentioning. So park, if you notice, there's a notch on park, and then reverse, neutral, low, and high. So when you pull it out of park and you have it, that's reverse, right? And what's the benefit of this is if you're rock crawling, sometimes you need to go from reverse to forward or from forward to reverse quickly, and sometimes you need to do it repeatedly over and over so you don't end up on your lid. And because this is gated, when you push it up as far as you can, it doesn't jam into park. You have to go around to get it into park. So the beauty of it is there's reverse, there's drive, reverse. So you have that ability to go back and forth in between those if I'm in forward, or if I'm in reverse, sorry, and I have to quickly go forward, boom. If I need to go back in reverse, there it is. So low for crawling, it'd be nice if low was at the end of it as opposed to high being at the end of it, especially if you're in a gnarly situation and you're trying to crawl through it. So I'm sure you can get used to knowing where the detents are and hitting there is low. So I did get low there. There we go. That time I went into high. So just a couple of points that I think are worth mentioning, and wanted to make sure that I spoke about it. It has drain plugs in the floor like all the RZRs do. 2 nice little cup holders right there. Adjustable handle for your passenger to hold on, and that's pretty much it. Pretty minimalistic, which is kind of how I like it. I don't like a bunch of stuff that can also break, unfortunately. Oh, one last thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and over here's 6. So if you like LED lights, and who doesn't like LED lights, you got a lot of places to put toggle switches for LEDs, ditch lights, you know, roof light on the top, any sort of accessories that you want to put in there that are electronic, you have it. So it's kind of tough to tell that it's still light out here, but one of the things I love, LED lights, these are LEDs, and I'm pretty sure both the bulbs are LEDs as well too. I don't think having an issue seeing, I think it's going to be an issue trying to see with this. So I like the way that it looks. The front of it is just mean, sinister looking, and this is just a nice added touch on either side of there. This bumper is also standard, and I like it. It's minimalistic, but it follows the lines. Maybe you guys don't notice this kind of stuff, but I unfortunately, or fortunately, depends how you look at it, I noticed that this follows this line where the light is, and everything is really symmetrical, and it just looks really, really good. Mounted inside of there, you can't see it, but it's back inside of there. It's a Polaris Pro 4,500 pound winch with a synthetic winch line. I don't think that is there's a hummingbird that just flew by, kind of cool. I don't think that is a Warn winch. It's Polaris's branded winch, so I don't know who's manufacturing it for them. It's not them. They're utilizing somebody else who manufactures the winch. I've used them in the past. They work fine. I've never had an issue with it. I'm a huge Warn fan. Warn's a made in the USA company, which I think we should all support 100%. They're very expensive though, and there's a reason for it. You get what you pay for sure. Up front here, one other little thing I want to mention: the high clearance front arms. All right, so same as the back. You want to make sure that the idea is to go out and find big rocks and drive over them with this. So the last thing you want to be doing is hitting one of those off of a big rock, especially so I did want to make sure that I showed you guys this view from the front. 64 inches wide, 14.5 inches of ground clearance. The curb weight, the dry weight on this with no fluids or anything like that is 1,573 pounds, I believe. So it's a porker. It's big, it's heavy, and one of the big reasons that it's heavy is these Pro Armor tires for sure. You know, when you have a stock 30-inch tire, you're going to add some weight to it. There's no getting away from it. Big tires, long travel, high horsepower, and heavy is pretty much par for the course these days. So, you know, it's kind of one of those things where if you want to have long travel and you want to have really plush suspension and you want to be able to drive over big obstacles, all of the engineering, all of the planning, all the design that goes into these machines, it's going to create some weight, and that's just kind of the byproduct of this machine and all machines for that general. So they're engineering marvels, masterpieces. They remind me every year. I've been doing this for a really long time, and they have evolved to such a point that every year they get a little closer to looking like a trophy truck. So if you've never given that any thought, there it is. And I'm going to make this prediction right now. I'll probably make it again at another point too, but 30-inch tires standard from the factory. This is going to be something that you see get larger and larger and larger. So Can-Am makes one of the Mavericks, one of the rock crawlers with 32-inch tires. That one over there has 30s, but 32-inch tires. and you're going to see 33s. Kawasaki, their Teryx has 31s. You're going to see 33s. You're going to see 35s very, very soon. And you know, I'll make that prediction. You're going to see it across the OEM brands because it's what people want. I want it. I'm sure you want it too. So please check us out in the future in our future videos. We've been focusing really hard. It's been a while since we made a video, but focusing really hard on trying to provide great content. My deal is I have these machines to review for UTV Driver magazine. There's some things that we do for UTV Driver that I would never run on my channel, and there's some stuff that I do that we would never run on UTV Driver. So yeah, we can kind of build both channels, and we've gotten a lot of feedback. There are a lot of people that have questions, and I want you guys to ask me those questions. That's kind of what I like to do. And if you have questions about it, what do I think? I'll be honest with you. If I like something, I'll tell you I like it, and if I don't, I'll tell you I don't. I have no vested interest in this at all. So I'm a passionate fan for off-roading, just as you guys are too. And by all means, subscribe to our channel, ask us questions, tell us the content you want to see. And in case you didn't hear me say it before, we will have also a full first ride review on this, and we're going to have a comparison video to the Maverick Sport, the Maverick Sport XRC. All right, so come back, check us out, have a great day.